we have the opportunity. It is, of course, Super Bowl 57, Radio Row, taking place in Phoenix, Arizona. We get to have our own extension of Radio Row here in the DFWsecurity.com studios here at 105 through the Fan. And we right now welcome in the Executive Vice President of SuperBook Sports, Jay Kornegay, joining us live in Las Vegas. Good evening, Jay.
Hey, guys. How are you?
Man, we are doing well. We're doing well. We're excited for this Super Bowl. We've been trying to kind of figure out how to talk about it, and we started by talking about like the very basic thing of the line. The thing that I've also been fascinated with is I believe the number for the total is at 50.5. Am I remembering this correctly?
That's correct. We opened 49.5, but it's actually moved up a little bit to 51 today.
Oh, wow. So I have been on record saying I think this is going to be a high-scoring one. I'm guessing that line is basically telling us the same thing. Why do you think that is with these teams?
Well, they both have great quarterbacks. I mean, let's face it. I mean, these are two superstars, leading these teams, and they got some great support around them. And Super Bowls tend to be, on the high end. Last year it did go under, but lately, over the last few years, we've had some pretty high-scoring, entertaining games. And this game is shaping up to be exactly that.
And looking at some of just the overall betting and some of the action coming in so far, what has been for you some of the most action that you've seen so far for this game as we get closer to the game on Sunday?
Yeah, at SuperBook Sports, we were one of the first ones to post the Super Bowl line just a week and a half ago or so. And we opened this game at pick. And then we had a flood of money come in on the Eagles, and it drove it all the way up to the Eagles minus 2.5 in the first day and a half. But then from that point, the next 2 days, we saw Kansas City money, which came, and drove the line from Eagles minus 2.5 down to Eagles 1.5. So we're sitting at this 1.5 number for about 8 days or so. And at this point, it's very, very balanced. And as a bookie, legal bookie,
no knee biting or ankle breaking.
That's right. That's right.
This is very comforting for us. We're getting equal action on both sides. I think it's going to be very interesting to see what happens this weekend as 80 to 85% of the handle, the action on the game, comes in the last 48 hours.
So, Jay, I'm very fascinated about process when it comes to this thing. So go ahead and stop me at any point if it's like, yo, that's proprietary. However, I'm very intrigued as to how much experience goes into getting that number, that line there, because we were talking about it earlier. Obviously, Jalen Hurts, this is his first time in this type of situation compared to the massive experience that Patrick Mahomes has. Plus, the coaching staffs also have a similar dichotomy there. And I wonder how much do you weigh that in when that line is being created, that inexperience of the quarterback, but also the coaching staffs?
Yeah, there's some things that go into the process. We at SuperBook Sports pride ourselves being first to market. So during the regular season and prior to the season starting, we'll post lines before anybody else. And on a weekly basis, we do the same. We try to be first to market, and that does require a lot of experience. And so we have about 125 years of experience in the back room. And I'm talking about 5 or 6 different odds makers. Some of us have been working together for about 20 years. And, I got to say, Reg, Kevin, if you guys were in that back room with us when we make these lines, you're going, you would say, is that it? Is that what you guys? There's no big computer system. There's not all these algorithms and analytics all going on. We have power ratings that we keep during the course of the season that carries over into the playoffs. And we look at those power rankings, and then the 5 or 6 of us make numbers independently, and then we get together and we discuss it. And when we made the line for this year's game, we had a couple of guys that made Kansas City 1. We had a couple of them Kansas City 1.5, and we had a couple of picks. And I got to say, I was the only one that had the Eagles favorite at -2.
Wow.
So after a discussion, okay, I'll call it that. I won't call it. We opened pick, like I said, and from that point, it kind of went up and down, as we mentioned. And but there's a lot of factors involved. First we look at the health. We thought Kansas City got a little beat up against Cincinnati. We're not too sure about Jalen, and we're still have question marks around Mahomes. So all that inexperience, experience, being in the Super Bowl 3 out of the last 4 years, all those type of factors go into play when we make that line.
Wow, that is so intriguing to hear. That is like basically a little panel of folks, a group of 6 or so. You're saying there, which brings me to a question. I love the Super Bowl because we get these weird, odd props, like way further than you would on a normal game. Like talking length of the national anthem and the coin flip. How the hell do you guys do that then? if we're talking about the actual game in this way?
Well, the coin flip's very easy to make.
Yeah, sure. That's fair.
It's a toss-up.
Yeah.
We started booking that years ago, and I got to tell you, the coin flip, now that we brought this up, it's so popular. It's so fun in these huge sports books that we have here in Las Vegas and now all over the country. But when you go into a sports book on game day, it's like a heavyweight title fight. It's about ready to happen. I mean, there's so much buzz, so much electricity. You can just feel it. Something's going on, and then all of a sudden, it gets really quiet, and that's because they're just about ready to do the coin toss, and so everybody wants to hear it. And right after the coin toss, as the result, as the coin hits the grass, and the referee announces the outcome, half the room cheers, the other half boos. It's hilarious, and it's game on from there. But there's certain props, I got to say, that we won't book, like the color of Gatorade. Mm-hmm. Somebody knows that what's going in those coolers. How long the national anthem? There's been a lot of controversy about that because there's no official result. There's, of course, there's rehearsals and some of these sharp guys are out there and they get some pretty good information. So the number that they put on the national anthem is very, very accurate. But the problem is that some of them, since there's no official result of this, some start timing as the singer starts to hum, the first note, or maybe, cut it off at the beginning of the last note, how long they carry that last note. Then there's the flyover that happens. They don't know exactly when it ended. So there's a lot of things that you got to consider when you put up these propositions. We have over 500 propositions for this game.
Wow.
That's how we built our name back in like the mid 90s. We came up with a lot of propositions that just weren't available. And back then the games were so boring. We decided to throw up propositions that would keep people engaged. So we have crazy things. I mean, some of the newer ones we have, just for an example, will the Eagles convert a 4th down attempt inside their own territory? You have all these different types of propositions that take place during almost every play is deciding a proposition, but the fans love it. An average fan that bets the Super Bowl will make one bet on the game and now will bet 6 or 7 propositions. And even though the biggest bet they make might be on the game, most of their tickets are on propositions. And propositions now account for 70% of the total handle. That's how popular they are.
The executive vice president of SuperBook Sports, Jay Kornegay, joining us here on the Get Right of Reggie KG on 105.3 The Fan. Jay, I'm very interested in this because not only you have the Super Bowl this week, you had the Pro Bowl games that took place at Allegiant Stadium earlier this past week, but there's a lot happening in Vegas right now. Obviously, well known for being the fight capital of the world, but just how much right now is the city buzzing around the idea of not just the Las Vegas Raiders, possible expansion when it comes to the NBA in the future, and some of the other
MLB as well,
Major League Baseball, some of the other major things that are going to be happening. What is the vibe like right now in Las Vegas, given all that excitement?
It's unbelievable, guys. We've always been known as the entertainment capital of the world, the boxing capital of the world, and now some call us the sports capital of the world. I should say sports entertainment capital of the world. but with all these different venues now, and they're state of the art, they're brand new, they're T-Mobile, they're Allegiant, there's a couple other arenas that they're looking to build. For us locals that are sports fans, it feels like we can go to an event almost every weekend here. There's opportunity to go see live events that we haven't had in the past. So the locals, the residents of Las Vegas, are thrilled. It gives us a lot of opportunity, but most importantly, we have all these guests that come into Las Vegas, and we got to keep our A game up, because cities like yourself, you guys got great facilities down in Dallas as well. There's others that, that we got to respect and understand that they can, compete and they can host great events, and they have great venues. So we don't take it for granted. But I will tell you that the residents here and the fans that like to come here, a lot of them obviously from California, come in here for these events. I would say that of the 10 major events that take place in their city, I'd say 7 or 8 of them revolve around a sporting event. And that's our world now. And as a sports fan, it's fantastic. I'm a little older now. I wish this would have happened like 20, 30 years ago. I could have handled these things a little better, but I go to one event on Friday. I'm done for the weekend, guys. I'm done.
I completely get it. I think it's very interesting because sports betting and sports are becoming a lot closer together. And I know that sounds weird because sports is in the name of sports betting, but you were talking about these events, and I'm wondering, especially in other places like Dallas, like other venues, how close are we to what seems like an ideal goal for sports betting, organizations like the one that you work at, where you have sports betting integrated into, or at least side by side with these arenas and these venues where the competitions are actually happening? Because it seems like the NFL, in their perpetual growth model, they want to get to that place, or the NBA and other organizations like that.
Yeah, we're starting to see that migration into the arenas and some of their even practice facilities. It is hard to believe because I've been doing this for over 30 years, and we weren't the favorites of these league officials, and even though we were regulated in a highly regulated environment, and here in Las Vegas. When I talk to gaming officials, or even from, sport or athletes or people from different organizations in the pro sports world, as soon as they found out that I was, I worked in a sports book, they're like, wait, should I be talking to you? I don't think I could. And that changed like overnight. And all of a sudden it was legal, and now we're all buds and friends, and we're partners. And I think that, what we're seeing today, the migration of the two worlds of the pro sports world, the college sports world, and sports gaming, we're just seeing the tip of the iceberg. The fan, as long as it's, highly regulated, like we are here in Nevada and other states, I'm okay with that. I'm fine with that, because compliance and the integrity of the game is our top priority. I mean, listen, we want fair and true games. We are in the same boat as these leagues. We don't want to be taking wagers on something that's predetermined. So we're on the same boat. And I talked to the leagues, 20 years ago, and told them that we were on the same side. And I think they get it now. They understand that, a highly regulated sports operation really cares and concentrates and focuses on the integrity of these games. So I think we're just hitting the tip of the iceberg right now. It's only going to grow from here.
And Jay, I hate to have to ask you to be quick on this, but I'm really intrigued by this. You were talking about the idea of like some of these games being boring, and obviously all the props being there to help spice it up for viewers. That harkens to micro betting, and I wonder how prevalent you anticipate that being, and how soon in our sports watching landscape.
Yeah, micro betting is something that's very interesting. I think for me, it's a little, it's a little fast paced for me. But first of all, the technology has to catch up to these type of concepts, these type of offerings, to make sure that everything is working properly. Micro betting, which is betting during the course of the game, is something that it's okay as long as the technology can keep up with it. I think it's a little too much in my book, But I prefer like in regular in-game and halftime wagering. But I know that in other countries and other parts of this world, micro betting is very popular. So we'll have to see what happens down the road.
He is the executive vice president of SuperBook Sports. Jay Kornegay, good enough to join us here on the Get Right with Reggie KG on 105 through the Fan. Jay, thank you so much for taking some time with us on this evening. Enjoy the rest of the week, and we know that the action is going to be fast and furious as Super Bowl 57 is approaching us on Sunday. We appreciate the time.
My pleasure, guys. Have a great weekend.